guys, I'm the artist Gerda. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to answer a question that was asked by one of my investors. He bought a painting from me a few years ago of a landscape, and the question he asked was, why did I change from painting landscapes to painting portraits, and why are the portraits so sensual? So I'm going to try to answer it in one at the same time, because they are actually related. To understand what I paint, I want to go back a bit to where I was still small in primary school. I was interested in drawing. I always drew on pieces of cardboard or pieces of paper I could get, and my mom had a book about how to draw faces, so I would take that and practice, and later take magazines and use the sketches that you got next to the stories in magazines way back and to practice, and later photos. And I also did some live drawings, my brother and my sister. So I continued pencil sketches of mainly portraits and figures till I later started with watercolors, and my first watercolor was actually a landscape. So I grew up on a farm in the northern province of South Africa, in the bushveld, in the Waterberge. Beautiful place to grow up in. And I just want to talk a bit about sensuality question here, because when you grow up on a farm, you walk barefoot all the time. Well, I did. You play in the mud, you are surrounded by farm animals, you see the stars. So my senses are very, don't know if I could say it heightens your senses, but you certainly, all your senses are always stimulated. I think, I don't know if it was because of that, I am a very sensual person, so I do get pleasure from walking barefoot on the grass or in the sand, or to walk in the water. And of course, the sensuality will translate to my paintings, because that is the type of person I am. And if somebody see my paintings, I want them to get joy from it and pleasure, or at least I want to stimulate their mind to explore possibilities when they see it. So I never stopped doing landscapes. At one stage I did a lot of seascapes, which I do not do anymore, but I do commissions, and when it's flower season in the Western Cape, I will probably always do at least one painting of that. I also feel that in my portraits or my figures that I place in landscapes, or when I bring the nature into my paintings, it's easier for me to create meaning than when I just do a landscape. And I've never felt that even if I did photorealistic painting, that I could do nature justice as it is. Or even when I do landscape photography, there are people like Yannick Alheid who can really capture a landscape with all its moods and the light and the dark. So I want to talk a bit about the painting that I did after I saw one of his photos, and this is the painting next to me of the Haxrivier Valley, which is, if you translate it directly, the Witch River Valley. So it's because of the legend that was told that in the 1700s, the legend was written down for the first time, if I have my facts right, of this beautiful girl that lived in this valley, and she had a suitor who really wanted court her, and she said she will be his wife if he can give her the most beautiful flower that grew at the top of the mountain, the Red Disa. So of course he was motivated, and he went, climbed the mountain to the highest cliff and reached for the flower, and as things happen, he fell to his death, and he was even unrecognizable, they say. I think it was a shepherd or somebody who got the body, and then they got the people from the farm to take his body back. And when this girl was Estelle, there are other names for her also, when she saw him, she was so shocked that she was locked in her room because she lost her mind. So the one night she escaped and went up the mountain and jumped to her death from the same cliff that he fell from. And from then, of course, she's still wandering the mountains of the Haxrivier Valley. So of course I asked Yannick permission to use his photograph as basis for the painting. So this is the story behind the Haxrivier Valley. And because if there's a story behind a place, of course there's so much more if you know the story that goes on when you see the painting. I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and for next week, for future also, please ask questions. If you have any interesting questions, jot it down in the comments and I will answer them for you. And have a very nice week, and see you next week. Bye.